And it's all yours, Gordon.
Thank you, David,
Sure.
and welcome to everybody, whether you're returning or you're new. And if you are new, I will mention briefly what we're going to do. You know, it's going to be practicing retrieval work, and that's definitely what we do here. And we've had some interesting times together in the last few weeks. Some people have done some fascinating retrievals above and beyond what I might have expected, if I even had any expectations. I've been facilitating this sort of thing in a variety of ways for a number of years, 20 odd years, 25 years, and done it on the radio. I've done it in New Age bookstores. I've had weekend seminars at this house right here. And so I come to you with this YouTube series, confident that almost anyone can do a retrieval. You don't have to be a special kind of person or a talented psychic or anything that you might think. You just have to be interested in doing it. You have to be curious. You have to be compassionate, of course. That's a given. I don't think anyone's going to show up here that isn't compassionate. We care for our other souls and other spirits, and the ones that are confused and lost, we're going out to help them because there's lots of them. And some of them are materialists, some of them are atheists, some of them are religious people that have followed a devotional lifestyle but feel guilty, sinful, unworthy, and they can be resistant to moving on as much as any atheist or materialist. So please be aware of that, in case you're wondering. It can be almost anybody. And as somebody, a member who's not here today, Julia asked a couple of weeks ago, what if we find ourselves with animals? Yes, you can retrieve an animal. Abused, particularly domestic pets, but also, horses and farm animals can sometimes be abused and not move on when they die. And you might find yourself with them if you have a special affection for animals. Mostly what we find is it's dogs, cats, and horses, but that can extend. It can definitely extend. I've seen examples of it over the years several times. And also, I should add, when we get into the meditation and you follow it, if you find yourself or your guides ushering you towards something that seems more like a spirit contact than a retrieval, and it might be with somebody that you know or have known or knows you, that's fine. Interact in that way if that's what seems appropriate. Our main function is retrieving lost souls, but sometimes souls just need a friend. They're maybe not actually that lost. Anyway, you'll be able to figure it out when you do it. It's your intuition will open up, and you will know what to do. So let me see, what else is there? I should put this out. If anyone has a question, any kind of a question, please feel free to ask. I'm open to all questions, and don't be shy.
Oh, okay, we just unmute ourselves.
Yeah, don't forget to unmute yourself, Priscilla. Do you have a question?
Yeah, my question is going to be simply about getting into an out-of-body experience, but the meditation will probably lead the way.
Yes, it'll give you a portal to pursue that with your inner vision and your imagination, and you'll experience what you will experience, and then feel free to talk about it later. So Priscilla, we've had first timers do retrievals, believe me. And I've had, in my long experience of this, I've had plenty of first timers who would show up at a bookstore reading that I was doing because there would be a sign outside the door, and they'd be out for a walk one afternoon, and they'd just walk in and they go, "Oh, that sounds interesting." And they'd be the one that would do the retrieval more than anyone else. So I've seen this happen many times. So don't assume because it's your first time that it's not going to happen. It could. It could easily happen. So with that, unless you have a further question? No? Okay. So if no one else has a question, I will proceed with the meditation. I'll give some introductory statements and directions, and then you will be left on your own to have your experiences for, well, I'd say at least 15 minutes. I don't, David's usually the one that keeps time. I think it's about 15 or 20 minutes. And we'll just get a sense of when people are ready to return. I will give some indications about returning. And if when we get to that section of the meditation, and I suggest that maybe it's time to return, and you're still actively involved, try not to sort of end it just because I said something. You're welcome to keep on going. Some interactions are more complex than others. So if you wouldn't, well, I'm sure you're all pretty relaxed, and I would suggest that you sit back, lie down with your eyes closed, and focus, because you'll be using your inner vision here, not your outer vision. And I'll probably have my eyes closed too. So that's always the best for me. So do get relaxed and slow down your breathing, please. And let us move into this eternal moment together. Let us leave the past behind. Whatever happened today or yesterday is of no significance now. And what may or may not happen tomorrow is also of no significance now. We are going to be in the eternal moment together, separated geographically, but joined vibrationally. We are moving into the same space together. And here we go. As we project our spirit bodies, our astral bodies, out of our physical, we move on up from the room we are in, through the ceiling of the room, and up through the dwelling, whether it's 1 or 2 stories or whatever. If you're in an apartment, same thing. Just move on up through the building. Move right on outside. And feel yourself free of, well, architecture, structure, furniture. You're outside. You're a free being floating above the community that you're in and below the clouds in the sky. You will be free to go in any direction that seems appropriate, that your imagination or some sort of magnetic pull will take you in. Your guides may be quite close. They may not be visible, but I can assure you they'll be there to lend a helping hand should you need one. Guides are always with us when they sense our need. And this is a situation that they are very interested in, helping out in this situation. So I would ask you now to move in whatever direction, backwards through time, forwards through time, to another country, to another street in your neighborhood, to a park, to a library, anywhere where you might find a lost and confused soul that has passed on and is not quite sure, A, if they've passed on, and B, if they have what they should be doing. So allow yourself to go to that situation, wherever it may be. I can feel some of you moving, almost all of you moving somewhere or other, and that's fine. Just keep going and keep going until you have some kind of interaction. And with that, I will leave you for, well, probably 15 minutes at least. And bon voyage. So I'm starting to wonder if some of you are ready to come back. That's just a little hint. Please don't feel pressured. If you're still engaged in one or other interaction, please stay there and see it to its conclusion if you can. And I'll get back to you in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, Gordon, I think everybody's ready. Yeah, Priscilla and Rich, the way we do it is we have you raise your hand when you want to ask a question or make a comment. Do you know how to do that on the Zoom?
Yes,
Yep.
Okay, then I can keep track of it and call on you.
yes.
Okay, Gordon.
Okay, well, maybe I'll get the ball rolling and tell you what happened to me. I first of all came across a woman cyclist who had been killed in an accident not recently, a while ago. Very angry that she had been taken out by a careless car driver and was looking for, I don't know if she was looking for vengeance exactly, but she wanted to start some kind of a, uh, I don't know, anti-driver group. I've and I tried to convince her that anger and the desire for revenge against people who carelessly took out the lives of cyclists was maybe not a good idea, that she wouldn't be able to pursue it very far from where she was, but I couldn't really convince her. And her anger was greater than my desire to help her. And I did talk with her a fair bit, but she had her own set of ideas about what she wanted to do and what she could do. And some of it was not pleasant, I tell you. It was definitely vengeance oriented. And she'd figured out how to get into the passenger seat of a car that was driving too fast and try to have the person crash themselves into, a wall or an abutment or something. Now, I don't know if she was able to pull this off, but she was trying. And so, naturally, I advised her against it, but she wasn't listening. So then I thought I'd leave her behind, and there was an incident here in Southern Ontario. I don't think the news made it out of our part of the world, but it's a small town, about halfway between here and Montreal. I can't remember which one, a mid-sized town, but they had their drug addicts, and a bad shipment of drugs came into town, and about 15 of them died on the sidewalk or very, very, very near where they picked up their opioids and injected. And it made the news for a couple of days. It was shocking. I'd say, I'm not exaggerating, about 15 of them died in about an hour. And I always wondered what had happened in terms of, so I went back and checked that out. And that's probably a month ago now. But I tried to go backwards in time and interact with one or two of them. And they were pretty zoned out. They were dead, but they were in their astral bodies, still very high from some opioid type. I'm not sure what it was. And again, I was not able to do very much. They were sort of dopey and barely aware that I was there. And that's one of the issues when you go backwards in time to drug addicts. If it's just after they've died, they're too dopey to do anything with. But I'll go back another time. I'll think about it and go back, 3 or 4 hours later when they've come around and might be susceptible to communication. And so then I went back to the the woman, the angry cyclist lady. I still wasn't making much headway with her, so I left her and came back to the group here and just focused on sending some positive energy to some of you guys. So pretty much that was my experience.
Who else has got one? How about you, Rich?
Well, I find that really interesting. I think this is the first time I've done this with this format at all, uh, and so uh, following directions, I I found myself back in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where I lived in the house I used to live in, and I was dealing with my deceased ex-wife, my deceased older son, my son who is an alcoholic and had while he was in Colorado Springs lost his and friends' entire family to a leak in a gas furnace. And then I found myself also processing. So I was I was tied to the property, to the animals, and the people from a past series of events. And I really think I was there for self-healing and for healing of my ex-wife, my alcoholic son who's deceased, and my other alcoholic son who we have no contact with at the moment, who lost all of his friends, family that is, to a gas leak in that house. And I felt that after that, what it felt like it was just some clearing, that sort of thing. And then I went a couple other places, but still with personal connections for me and deceased others for sure, definitely. That was interesting. That's where my little thing went this time. So,
Well, I find that quite fascinating, Richard. That's a lot of contacts in one 15-minute spell.
I've been told by a shaman that I travel in my sleep. I just don't remember, and I don't seem to find the discipline yet to start writing things down. So I know things go on during sleep. It's just that bringing it back to consciousness, that's where I wake up, and the next thing you know, I'm drinking coffee and getting ready for my day and I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. So, Richard, all these contacts that you just described, were they one after another, or were a group of these people together?
It was at my previous house in Colorado Springs. It was like a family, the family being there all together.
I see.
So like a favorite dog, my ex-wife, my alcoholic deceased son, and a little bit separate when I was dealing with my supposedly still alive other alcoholic son. But when I was dealing with my wife and oldest son, it seemed like we were all together, kind of reminiscing, kind of uh,
Uh-huh.
kind of like a clearing of oh yeah type of thing, where you just say yeah, that's what happened.
Uh-huh.
Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, it's in my experience that group thing does happen, but that's a pretty detailed account of it, I'd have to say. You met a lot of people, and it sounds to me like it was probably by pre-arrangement.
Well, I didn't expect to be on the thing today. I didn't know what we
Yes.
were doing, and I barely got in on time. Priscilla was helping me find the site, and I found myself here getting in just in time without any time to think about, well, what are we doing? And here we
Uh-huh.
are. And it was like, yeah, maybe it was kind of prearranged.
Well, for them all to be, I mean, I can see, one, the deceased wife or the deceased son coming because they're in some level of contact with your personal vibration. Um, but all of them, that's quite remarkable. And I would either you did that, organized it yourself, like last night when you were out of body, or maybe your guides threw in a helping hand and gathered them together. But that's to me, that's quite a remarkable set of interactions. I'm quite impressed.
Yeah, I was thinking of a photograph I have here in front of me while I was living in Lakewood, Colorado, and with all five of my sons alive several years ago. And hard to get them together because one was in Iowa and all scattered around. I have this photograph at my house that was in Lakewood, Colorado, and I have all five boys as an adult. That was the last time they were
Hmm.
together, but it felt like a synchronous event where it's like everybody's here, and so was grandma and grandpa and the grandkids. Like everybody, it's like, can we get together? Can we see who's going to show up? And it was one of those things where somehow everybody showed up.
Well,
Iowa,
great stuff.
Springs, different places, and everybody showed up uh, and we're together at one time. It felt like that,
Well,
you have a,
yes, yes.
how did that happen? And
Well, maybe this will. Sorry.
but anyway, that was interesting. But yeah, so to your point, I think there's probably loose ends for everybody about the place that I went to today in Colorado Springs, where we all gathered together because we were all tied in tightly to that property.
Hmm.
And uh, I think that it was one of those things that's a help of clearing for me, a help of clearing for those who are no longer here. I think that's not. Others didn't show up. Uh, Others in the family did not show up.
Hmm.
Just me, the two deceased ones, and the alcoholic son that I'm not sure how he's doing. I haven't had contact with him in a couple of years. He could be deceased for all I know, or I know at one time he was in rehab, but his mental and physical condition could be anything. But
Yes.
he also
Yes.
he also showed up. But when he showed up, I was working more directly with him individually.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Not so, and the other members of the family weren't weren't there. But the
Well,
dog was there. The dog was there.
great. Well, Richard, it sounds to me like you're fairly practiced at all this kind of stuff. And as you have mentioned, a shaman told you you do a lot of this stuff at night. I'm pretty sure you do, because that's a fairly complex series of interactions. And it sounds to me like you were quite ready for it and quite practiced at doing it. So maybe this will make it more conscious for you as time goes by.
I hope so. Yeah, I really hope so.
Yeah, no, really. I'm fascinated. Come to the class again another time. We'll see what you do next time.
I'm here to learn and see what we come up with. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, good, good. Thank you.
Priscilla, I'm just interested where you are on your journey with this.
Well, I've been recording my dreams And this has been very interesting because I'm surprised, because in the morning I would not have remembered them, except that I've been recording them. So I'm going to bed with an intention now, and I'm finding out that that intention seems to impact my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. And I'm doing more meditating. I'm meditating regularly. Mostly I've been doing healing meditations, which have just given me lots of positive feedback in my dreams. But as far as today goes, I mean, I couldn't get out of my body. I tried every which way.
I see.
But I tried a lot of different things. And, you know, let me tell you, yesterday morning, I had a dream where the night before I meditated myself to sleep in the yoga nidra position, the corpse position.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I've been told to do that. The dreams were pretty normal, but at one point, late morning, I dreamt that I was looking down on my body, lying flat in bed. And I said to myself, have I left my body? I'm looking at myself. I can see that body laid out on the bed. And then I thought, maybe I'm about ready to do an out of body. Stay calm. Don't get excited. See if you do an out of body. And then nothing happened and it moved along. But, I mean, that's some kind of progress for me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're definitely been out of body a few times in your sleep time, Priscilla. I'm sure of that. And all we have to do now is make that a little more conscious. Be the same experience, just as part of your waking consciousness instead of a dream. So I would encourage you to, continue with this.
So people can have out of body experiences in the daylight and go, because I'm thinking, I want to go someplace nice and enjoy it in this OBE. But if it's dark, if it's nighttime, I'd rather enjoy it in the daytime.
Well, sure, you can project to any place that you fancy, really. If you've got some favorite vacation spot or some beauty spot that you'd like to project to, then do so.
Plus, not only that, I would like it to be more to my liking, like no bugs, perfect temperature, nobody's around.
Yeah, you can do that. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be like how it is on the physical plane. There's lots of beautiful beauty spots in the astral that are not plagued by bugs, as you say, and are not jam-packed with vacationers. You just form an intention to go to a place like that, and you will go. There's hundreds of them there. Waterfalls, lakes, beautiful parklands. There's lots of it.
Yes, so I'm working with intention, with being conscious of my intention when I go, or I guess anytime in my life. What's my intention?
Well, intention is the key there. Absolutely. Manifest your intention and just focus on the intention and go for it.
Now, I could talk some more, but if somebody else wants to say something, don't let me do all the talking.
Okay. Well, let's go. Did anybody else have an experience? How about you, Bill?
I knew you'd come to me. That was my experience. It was quite different this week, David.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It was difficult to focus on what I was saying. It was a bit like the old-fashioned movies with black and white sort of scenes flashing past. And
Mm.
when you're trying to like focus into it, it was just disappearing. But there was one guy came up in colour. I'm seeing a guy, he was a young lad, probably somewhere between 18 and 22, maybe he's the oldest. He had ginger curly hair, freckled face. He was chewing gum. He had a black leather jacket on, which was zipped across. I was trying to think it would be his right shoulder to left, so he would put the jacket together at the bottom and then zip it across here with a wide collar. And he was quite nasty with us. Chased us, didn't want to talk, more or less what you're doing in my space, like. And I thought, oh, I thought I'd better go. And then there was just some black and white flashes, some of them just 1 or 2 seconds of rooms with furniture in and people, as if they're discussing things, talking things. I don't know whether they were family homes or not. They appeared to be like family homes, but I just couldn't sort of get into holding myself to start a conversation. So I give
What
up,
were you,
and I just enjoyed the ride, looking around the area. Which was then it went into colour, with green lawns and trees and the tops of the roofs and that. And then Gordon said, well, Gordon spoke, and it was like, whoa, has it gone already? So not as successful as the last time, but there's ups and downs with everything, isn't there?
Yeah. Well,
And
I
I
mean,
didn't-
that young fellow that you met, Bill, he obviously was not in the mood to be befriended or helped.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah. Well, you'll meet people like that. Don't blame yourself. They are where they are.
Yeah, you just leave them love, and that's it. That's all you can do, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's no good answering the aggression with aggression, because it gets nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
You sort of bow out gracefully without any ill feeling towards them. He seemed quite wound up about something, which was probably seeing me. But it was, he just had that sort of aggressive stance about him, the way his shoulders were set. He wasn't a
Yeah.
big guy, but it was just the expression on his face.
Mm-hmm.
Was he was chewing this chewing gum, as if he was chewing a lemon, really wide mouthed sort of thing. Yeah. But it's an experience, isn't it?
Sure.
It's
Absolutely.
something that you can just put it to one side and remember it.
I was interested that you seem to be visiting several homes and passing through as people were having conversations, but you didn't feel that you had enough interest to interact or participate. That's interesting to me.
I couldn't stop Gordon. It seemed as if, if you were traveling slowly along, going across the roofs of the houses, but it's
Yeah,
as if
yeah,
you could see the people inside.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
I couldn't stop myself.
yeah,
But I had asked for guidance to lead me to somebody. That was the
yes.
intention, whether I could get me guides to lead me to someone. That was what I came this week with the intention of to try and, because I didn't feel as if I had anybody with us the last time. I was on my own. So I thought, well, if I get one of my guides to come with me and just guide me to somebody that needs the help, then I can pass them off to me guide,
Yes, right.
if you like. And it didn't work this week. But I'm saying didn't work. I saw a lot more this week, but it was as if you couldn't stop yourself traveling, a bit like, on a bus ride and you can see the scenery going past. It's as if I
Yes,
was
yes,
just
I hear.
floating across the top and seeing
Well,
these
you're
different rooms with people in,
right.
3, 4, sometimes half a dozen. But I couldn't stop. It didn't
Uh-huh.
feel as if, you had that connection, I need to go there. That didn't happen.
Yes. Well, maybe these people didn't really need any help. There's a lot of neighborhoods on the Astral where they're very much like neighborhoods here, and it's kind of like birds of a feather flock together. So you'll get lots of families in these astral plane neighborhoods that are in a similar state of mind and a similar state of acceptance of the reality that they find themselves in, and they're reasonably satisfied. They're not, upset or feeling that they've been gypped in some way, and they they almost all know that they're dead, but they continue on with family and community life as they did before. And I get the sense you were being shown that neighborhood so that on another occasion you will be able to be pick out people that might actually need some assistance.
Yes. Yes, I would agree with that, Gordon.
Hmm. I'm sure you'll be back there sometime.
I'm sure I will.
Mm.
It was quite interesting, actually, even though it was just like flashes,
Sure, sure. Yeah, I've had a few similar experiences over the years where I will guide myself to uh, not a hell realm, but a fairly lower astral neighborhood, and people are often sort of narrow-minded, suspicious, and they sort of glare at you as you're walking by, like you're trying to sneak in the back door and steal something. And you can see as you go through these neighborhoods that it's all a certain type of person that is there, and they usually know that they've passed on and they're just sort of getting on with it, as they might say, whether they're fixing an old car or planting seeds in the garden. And so I've certainly had these experiences where it's obvious I'm just getting familiar with a neighborhood and I might go back sometime.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Bill.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Denise,
Bill.
we didn't say hello to you. How are you? And did you have anything to say today?
Hello. Well, a couple things. I got the YouTube recording from last time of Wendy Zamet and replayed it and had a pretty cool experience with my father, who's not in spirit yet, but I believe he's going to transition in 2025. And my neighbor's dog came in, and I got into this conversation with, we'll call him the council, about my father's Roman Catholic and he doesn't believe in metaphysical. So, and I'm supposed to talk to him, and it's like, I don't know how to talk to him because we're not on the same page, whatever. So, there was a lesson in that, which I thought was pretty cool, that I'd share real quick. So then I was in meditation, and a building comes in, and I'm like, okay. And then a street comes in. It's like, oh, wait, that's Lake Street. That's DeMarco's, And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, why is it coming in and there's an ambulance? Why is there an ambulance? And the whole scene was in black and white, but the ambulance was, red and white with the red light going. That was in color. That was kind of sticking out more. And then I heard car crash. And then I was like, meditation was over. So then I was like, okay, is somebody going to get in a car crash? Because it was in the town that I grew up in. I don't live there anymore. I'm going back there. I'll be back there next week. So I kind of thought it was a premonition, just something about it, I can't shake it. And I thought premonition. But I'm like, I don't know about that. So anyway, so that happens. Okay, then this morning I'm dreaming, and all of a sudden Jesus is like, we're like face to face. He's like 1 inch from me, and he's on the cross. And first I'm like, wait, who is that? That's Jesus. He's on the cross. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And I snap out of it. Okay, so those are 3 things that happened to me, leads up to today. So we go into the meditation, and immediately what and I said to myself, well, what if it wasn't a car crash that's coming? What if it was a car crash that already happened, and somebody is trapped in Addison, and this is a town that I grew up in? And anytime you say, what if, like, well, Jesus, that's kind of far out there. Where did that come from? You know what I mean? It's like, or was it inserted, right? So that's the impression that came in today. And I was like, what's going on with that? And I'm like, I said, did somebody get in an accident there? Then all of a sudden I hear the name Carl. And then I wasn't sure, because I have a friend named Carl from high school that died. And then it was just a couple minutes ago when Rich was talking, I was like, wait a minute, Carl died in a car accident. But anyways, in that moment, I didn't know if it was Carl or not. But then the weirdest thing happened. So I said, okay. I says, well, is somebody here and they need to go? And it's like, okay, so you're supposed to talk them into going. And I hear David's voice, and I hear Gordon and David's in my head. I believe it's your higher selves up there with me, right? And they're like, next thing you know, I suggested, I was like, oh, did you know that they have a swimming pool, and that they have the river of peace, and there's the most glorious waterfall? And next thing you know I get this, it's like this male figure, and it's ascending, and it's in like, it's like it's in a Star Wars movies, like, going up or whatever. And I'm like, oh, you're ascending. And then I hear, it starts chattering in my head going, and how does it go? Because I was raised Roman Catholic, and it was like, and on the 3rd day he rose again. You know what I mean? And this just kept on, he ascended into heaven, and on the 3rd day he rose again. And next thing you know, Jesus was in front of me, and I was like, what are you back for? And the impression I got was, Jesus, he's an ascended master, and is how I look at him, and that he works in soul retriever. So these couple of experiences that I had all kind of tied in to today. And I remembered Gordon saying, I'm surprised, because once you start this, I'm surprised to hear, what other things can come in, even though we're not here today in this. So that's the impression I got, and I felt Gordon around. So maybe Gordon can tell me whether I'm, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs or right on the money. I'm good with either one. I enjoyed it, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I think I saved somebody named Carl today. I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, it's certainly important to enjoy your experience, and the more fun you can have, the better it is, because that fun will that sense of joyousness and fun will transfer to the people that you run into, who might be, not nearly as happy as you might be, and you can raise their vibration just by being happy and fun-loving. So that's very definitely a good thing. I kind of, when you talked about the ambulance and the flashing light, and then remembering a little later that your friend Carl had died in a car accident recently. Yeah?
No, he's been gone. He's been gone a couple of years. I dated him in high school, hadn't seen him in years, but I know it, like, you know what I mean? But I heard he had died, but I thought it was a motor. No, I heard crash, and I thought he died on a motorcycle. So
I see. So
and it could have been a different Carl. You know what I mean? It could have been a different Carl. My ego went to the Carl that I knew when I heard Carl, just because I'm a knob. Right.
And from there you went to seeing somebody that was ascending, or was that after you told them about
No,
the
that
river
was
of peace?
when I got into conversation of like, okay, so car accident, someone's here, and it was like, and then I hear David, I think it was David's about, and you tell them something that they want to hear something. And I was like, I don't even know why this popped into my head. Next thing I know, I started to tell them about the swimming pools in heaven, and I have no idea why. But it's like, as soon as I, did the swimming pools, and then I said, and then there's the river of peace and waterfalls. It was like, boom. It was like, that was all they needed to hear. It was, I guess I would say quite magical.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, Denise, that's a retrieval. Even though you said things that sort of spontaneously come into your head, and you thought, "Why am I saying that?" It's more directed and focused than you think it is. Now, maybe a guide suggested that you say that. I'm not sure, but the fact is, you said it.
Okay. Yeah.
The words came out of your mouth, and that person that you were confronted with heard it. And as you say, maybe it's exactly what he wanted to hear. Maybe he was thinking, well, is there beautiful things in heaven like I heard, or is it all bullshit? Or, do I deserve to go there? Or is it just for, goody people that go to church every week and pray? I mean, there's all kinds of restrictions that people put on themselves. And if you just show up as a cheerful, happy person, as you seem to have been today, and maybe you are all the time, and you say those things to those people, that's all they need.
Yeah. And
that's all they need.
And happy. So yeah.
It's like you open a door and say, "Look at this! Isn't this cool?" And they go through the door, and there they are.
Yeah. That's how simple it was. I was like, oh, this is easy. And then I forgot too, as you were talking, a couple physical things happened. I felt like I was getting touched, but then the touch felt more like a nudge, like somebody was like slapping. You know what I mean? I felt like somebody was slapping my foot. That was pretty cool. Then at one point, I involuntarily, and I lay down. Sometimes I sit up, sometimes I lay down. I lay down today with my eyes closed. I involuntarily grabbed my chin, like I'll show it right now, and did that. But when I did, I felt like I was a male figure, and I felt stubble, and that I could even, like that scratchy noise if somebody's hand is rough, and I heard that on my face, and I was like, ooh, what, you know what I mean? What was that all about? And I get like this weird breath, and when I get this weird breath, I sometimes feel like somebody's come in, and you know what I mean? So, so that was those two things were interesting too.
Thanks, Denise.
Okay.
Eva, would you like to make a comment or anything? Okay. How about you, Carol?
I'm good. I had lots of nice colors today, like last time. So I'm happy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Stanley?
Yes, I had a very peaceful meditation. Apart from that, I really had nothing, which is quite in common with most of my meditations, unfortunately for me.
Okay. Well, I had one. I had a retrieval. And I write down notes, right? Because I forget this. This one took place in a subway. I found myself in a subway like New York City. And a crime took place. And what happened was it was not me. I was observing. And there was a guy that was in there. It was kind of late at night. And there wasn't very many people there. And this guy was smaller. He had glasses. He was bald. He was meek, and he was quiet. So he looked like the perfect target. Also in the car, in the subway car, there was two young, teenage boys. Maybe 15, 16. And they decided that this man was a perfect target. And so they approached him, and one of them had a gun. The victim panicked and got out of his chair and ran. And then the young man with the gun, he panicked and he shot him in the back. And he died right there on the floor. There wasn't, I'm not sure if there was many spectators in there. I just get the feeling that there wasn't. So I was able to talk to the victim because his body was on the floor, but he was sitting in the chair still. And so we just had a conversation. He knew that he was dead. And he talked a little bit about me, that he had a menial job. He didn't have a car. He lived by himself in a small apartment. He wasn't married or anything. And he had a low-paying job. And he couldn't do very much because he didn't have very much money.
Oh.
And so, but he did like watching pro wrestling. And that was his big thing. So I explained to him that that he's dead and the afterlife is so much better, and he would love it if he would just go forward and be ready to go, and that he could have his own house. And I think maybe he told me after we were talking that I'd like to have my own house, and you can have it there because money, you don't even need any money, and you can just think of it and you can have a house. He wanted to look younger, where he had hair again and he was thin, and because he's like real introverted, he could have his personality could be more outspoken, and he could have a girlfriend. And so at that point, there was a bunch of talking, but that's all I need to say at this point. And then, so I said, "Do you want to go?" And he said, "Yeah, I want to go. I want to go to the afterlife." And so a guide came that looked like a wrestler, because they can make themselves look different. I mean, it was Macho Man. If anybody's ever goes back to the old wrestling stuff, Randy, whatever his name was, and they went out together, and they left.
Cool.
That was the end of the dream, or not the dream. That was the end of my retrieval.
Oh, it's pretty classic there, David. Well done.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
I mean, when the wrestler came in, that was just perfect. Just exactly who he needed to see,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just like
So I think,
some people need to see kindly mother figures. Some people need to see, a guy that they went to college with and played football, or, some people need to see an old girlfriend, or,
Mhm.
everyone's got a need to see some type of person. And it's amazing how spirit catches on to that and sends in the right type of person. I love it.
Yeah. Yes, I do. I agree with you. So we've had some pretty interesting stories today.
Yeah,
We
for
got
sure.
We got a couple more minutes. Priscilla, did you want to ask anything else? Oh, Eva, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wonder if Gordon went in to check me out today.
No, Eva, I did not, because I didn't know you were here today. I didn't see your name, so I didn't consciously do anything of that nature. Did you require some assistance?
No, I went all over the place, and it's nothing to talk about. And in some places I don't want to be here, and I just swapped away.
I
because
see.
and I just now. And it was quite interesting because before we started, I just felt you need protection, Eva. So
Oh,
I grabbed my biggest crystal clear crystal, and even have a rainbow fluoride here. I don't usually use them when I do these kind of things, but today I need protection, and it was necessary.
Because you wound up in some fairly unpleasant places, I guess.
Oh yes.
Uh-huh. Well, you're quite an adventurous on these matters, Eva, and I know you've got a lot of experience. So I don't, I don't have a lot of concern about your safety. I know you're experienced and strong, and I think taking the crystal today was a perfect example of you know what you need to do.
Yeah.
And
But I do have a question for Bill.
Okay.
Because somehow it was interesting when you talked about your experiences today, and I just related to my experience today as well, because I had the sense of you in one of these experiences, because one of these, how would I say, spirits I met, it went further way back. It felt like, I need to ask you if you have done some work with Frida and experienced a castle where two people, one Edward and one Stanley, one was hanged and one was stoned. I just felt that it has something to do with you, that you help them moving forward, or you help them in clearing a house or whatever.
Well, we've cleared a house, and there was two guys lynched on the village green in there where she lives, in the 1600s.
Yes.
Yeah, there was two guys lynched.
I knew there was some connection with you. Okay. Thank you.
There was also a witch lived in the village,
Yeah.
and she used to change to her hair and sort of run around the fields and things like that and terrorize the neighborhood because it was quite a big hair, more like a dog.
Yeah, therefore, I needed my protection tonight.
Yes, you did.
I can be honest, because it started up that I ended up in my first pit stop was in in Rome, in the Vatican, and I don't want to be here, and then I just took off. So yeah, and then my journey begin. So I don't have any more to talk about.
Okay.
Well, thanks anyway, Eva. Always interesting to hear from you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, so Priscilla, you can have the last comment.
Well, I just have a question, and my other story can wait. It's an ongoing thing. But Eva, how do you use the crystal for protection? How do you just hold it in your hand, or?
Yeah, first you have to believe them and feel them. Every crystal I have is picked by my own feeling for what I'm drawn to. And I'm studying for what kind of crystals it is for protection. The clear crystal is obviously the clearest one, the strongest for me. And then, of course, I do have a lot of other stones in my room here. And when I do go away for my work and I'm into nature, I use few of them for extra protection.
Okay, thank you.
And so for Rich and Priscilla, we meet the first and the third Wednesday of every month.
Oh, okay.
So next time is the 17th of July.
Okay.
And are you in Eastern time, both of you, or?
Central.
Okay,
Central.
because it's 3 o'clock Eastern time. I don't know what that is, yours, but
2 o'clock. I'm in
Nope.
Central too.
are you? Okay.
Yeah. 2 o'clock. And if you sign up for the Zamet report weekly, the meetings will be in there for the whole week.
Yeah.
Not just this one, but all the meetings that
Okay.
Wendy sponsors.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Priscilla, there is also a dream group that meets every other week on
Oh.
Mondays. You'll find that in the report.
Okay.
I
Have you got it?
can't, I won't make the 17th. I'll be
Okay.
in Chicago in trial.
All right. Well, we'll see you the first then of
Yes,
the first week in August or whatever.
yes.
Well,
How
make
about
no
you?
mistake, make no mistake, Denise, you did a retrieval today.
Okay, all right, cool.
Okay.
I'm very interested, but I won't be able to make the 17th. I'm having a travel trailer sent to Illinois, and then I'm going to be there getting it all figured out. So that's. But yes, I'm interested in keeping up with you folks and joining in. So Priscilla, make sure I get on like you did today. She helped me make sure I got the right link.
Okay,
We'll
Rich,
see you.
thanks. See you next time.
Okay. We'll see everybody.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Everybody be
everyone.
Bye
safe.
all.
Bye.
Bye all.
Bye.
Bye.
We'll see you.
Bye, Eva.
Bye bye.